What's good, everybody? Today I'm here to talk about a very underlooked part when it comes to eating properly, eating healthy, and that is flavor. I think there's a misconception that in order for food to be good for you, that it has to taste bad or it has to be really bland. And I don't think it's the taste at all, or that's the case at all, excuse me. But sometimes you have to be a little creative and you have to know how to stretch things. And the first place to start is to know what flavors that you can work with on a very low budget that won't take a lot of your time. So let me start. First of all, I'm going to touch the base of keeping things low sodium, keeping things, especially if you're getting ready for a particular competition, or let's say you have some sort of condition that compromises you from having excessive sodium. That's the first thing we want to look at. I would recommend that you start with a good flavorful base like this garlic powder here. Now you can get this at any dollar store, any grocery store, whatever. I just have the generic kind from, I think this is from Aldi's. You can pick this up, it's cheap. You can keep it in your cupboard. You can use it on a lot of dishes. You can use it on lean meats, vegetables, whole grains, all that kind of stuff. So have something like that, something with low or no sodium. Some other recommendations I would make, Mrs. Dash goes a long way, especially in my opinion. It goes great with grilled meats, grilled chicken, a steak, burgers, things like that. I would definitely keep some Mrs. Dash on hand. I like some cayenne pepper from time to time because I like things spicy. I'll get more into that later. Another thing too, is sometimes you need an acid. You need something that provides some kick or some tang. Very simple, underrated. Vinegar. Vinegar will go a long way. The awesome thing about vinegar, besides it being cheap, is that it provides a huge amount of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's when you feel like there's something missing in a dish, and you've done everything that you could, usually, bam, you just need a little bit of acidity in there. So that's where I would recommend putting a splash of vinegar, especially great on salads if you're part of the oil and vinegar crew. Love to put the vinegar on salads. I just showed you a white vinegar, and it's for more than just washing windows. You can use it on your food. Apple cider vinegar to me goes a long way too. Red wine vinegar is very good. Rice vinegar has a lot of good qualities to it, just in terms of flavor. Again, you're not going to get sodium, not going to get a bunch of calories, but if you're looking to mix things up and keep it from getting bland, then yeah, I'd recommend that you keep vinegar as a base. And really, again, getting back to the whole acidity thing, it'd be good to keep some source of citrus. A sprinkle of lemon juice or a sprinkle of lime juice on a lot of dishes can really bring things over the top. So yeah, you want to have your acid. You want to have some base things that don't have a lot of sodium that can provide maybe not a strong pungent flavor, but it can give certain foods a character. So done with the no sodium stuff. Now let's get some salt in our lives. Now you want to go all purpose with your seasonings at first. When you have a certain taste or you want to make a specific recipe, then you can get a little more technical and go into detail. But I find that to be few and far between in my life. And I talk a lot about keeping things basic, keeping them simple, because you don't want to get overwhelmed. But you want to keep things flavorful. So I highly recommend you run and you get some seasoned salt if you don't already have some. I feel like everyone should have some seasoned salts in their cupboard. It can be whatever. It can be this, which is, again, it's just the generic kind that you can get at Aldi's or dollar store. You can get Lowry's, McCormick's if you're all about the brands, whatever. They don't pay me to talk about this stuff anyway. But seasoned salt is going to do a lot for you. The thing I like about it is it goes good on a variety of types of dishes, varieties of flavors. It can really stretch a long way. And again, the price is usually comparable to other spices and sometimes cheaper, but again, it comes in this big container. Like, look how much it comes to compared to this garlic powder. And this will stretch you and this will go a long way. It doesn't cost you a whole lot, but seasoned salt is awesome. One warning I will make when we're talking about the saltier, more sodium-laced seasonings is that you add a little bit of salt at a time. One thing that will absolutely ruin a dish, in my experience, is if you over-salt it. Do not over-salt it. When a recipe says add salt to taste, that doesn't mean that you just jump a whole bunch in and then think that if it doesn't taste right, that you can add more carrots or you can add more vegetables or something like that. No, once you over-salt a dish, it's ruined, man. So please keep that in mind. So yeah, keep the seasoned salt handy. And again, for people who like the spiciness, which again, that's something that I prefer, keeping a good all-purpose hot sauce is always good. You see, I got the Sriracha with me. That's usually my go-to hot sauce. You know, I tend to dabble, switch it around sometimes. I go with Texas Pete from time to time, like a little bit of Frank's Red Hot from time to time. You know, sometimes when I like to turn the temperature up, I might go with something laced with habanero or some ghost pepper. Usually I just want an all-purpose hot sauce to keep in the fridge. Something that is just, you know, gonna be there when I need it. You know, it mixes with a lot of dishes, similar to how the seasoned salt goes with a lot of different things. So you can get a bottle of Sriracha, which, you know, most places you can probably get for like around $2.50, $3. You know, you can get a cheaper hot sauce. You know, I usually like my hot sauces kind of thicker, so that's why I like the Sriracha. You know, another thing that I've been using recently that goes surprisingly far is buffalo wing sauce, chicken wing sauce. You know, again, it's something that you can find at any dollar store or whatever. You know, it comes with a, you know, bright orange color. I feel like that's sort of a nice little change of pace when I'm not feeling Sriracha that day. So there's the hot sauces. Now, also when we talk about sauce, there's good old mustard. Boy, I'm really bringing out the generic versions today. If you expected to see Heinz or French's or anything, then boy, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it all tastes the same. You know, balling on a budget. Mustard. Cool thing about mustard is if you like it and you realize there's a whole bunch of different varieties of it, man, the possibilities are endless. You know, it's good for a barbecue sauce base. It's good as is. There's, of course, a traditional classic yellow mustard. There's, you know, yellow mustard, brown mustard. There's Dijon mustard. There's that ballpark mustard with the little seeds in it. There's jalapeno mustard. I mean, the possibilities are just all over the place. But the cool thing about mustard, and I'm looking at the label right here, you can see there's 0 calories. You know, not too much sodium, about 60 milligrams of sodium. So not a huge amount per serving. It goes a long way. Again, if you're watching your sodium contents, I wouldn't smother this over everything. But again, this is a good way to get some flavor in without adding a whole bunch of calories. And it does have, you know, some vinegar, some kick to it, similar to our good buddy. But again, with more of that sauce, more of that pastiness. You know, I love mustard on, believe it or not, I love it on certain vegetables. I love it on tuna. It goes great on tuna, especially when it's mixed with hot sauce. I feel like mustard and hot sauce sort of work as a tag team. So definitely mustard, keep that as a base. Also, I like to have some garlic salt too. Garlic salt, the thing about that is it's not as versatile as the seasoned salts, but it still goes a surprisingly long way, especially again with lean meats, lean sources of protein. So definitely keep some garlic salt with you. The next level I would go with is probably thicker dipping sauces or barbecue sauces, which I don't happen to have any right now. I don't have any in the fridge. We're out of Sweet Baby Ray's, which lasts a pretty long time in my house, because here's the thing about barbecue sauces and thicker sauces is that you gotta stretch them out. They're not gonna hurt your results as long as you use them in moderation. And what do I mean by moderation? Moderation is not smothering or dousing your food in barbecue sauce, but maybe making a little tiny spot on your plate to dip in, or watering it down some. You know, I might recommend putting a couple tablespoons in a small bowl, putting just a little bit of water just to loosen it up a little bit, make it thinner, And then what I do is I would probably put it on as a glaze over something that I might grill, something that I might put in the oven, like some chicken breast or some tilapia or something like that. Yeah, you don't want to go overboard with the barbecue sauce though, because it is loaded with a lot of sugar, a lot of high fructose corn syrup. There are a few brands out there that have low to no sugar. I can't say that I've tried them all or recommend them all. A good brand that I would recommend is the G Hughes barbecue sauce. You'll know what it is because you'll see, a guy on the label. Comes in, different flavors. There's regular, there's like sweet and spicy, which is really good. There's like a brown sugar kind, but there's not actually sugar in it. And it's surprisingly good. To me, it doesn't hit the spot like a Sweet Baby Ray's or a full flavored sauce does, but it does hit the spot. So I would recommend that as far as your sauces. Now the next thing is, how do you use these sauces at the right place and the right time? That's something that I'm going to have to say it depends. It depends on your flavor palette. It depends on your preferences. It depends on what you like to eat. What I will say though is that if you do like me and cook things in bulk, and maybe you've got an entire week's worth of 2 or 3 different types of foods, you definitely want to take these seasonings, these sauces, and mix them up. Get a little experimental, mix with things you like, and that's going to keep your food from getting bland and boring. I say this because if you eat the same thing over and over again every day, I'm no different than anybody else. I'm going to go mad. Now, again, I'm not getting ready for a bodybuilding or figure competition. This is most people who are trying to eat healthier and eat better. So you have to think to yourself, okay, what compromise can I make? Maybe, okay, if I'm eating a chicken breast every day for dinner, maybe one day I can put a little bit of seasoned salt here. Maybe the next day I can put some barbecue sauce. Maybe the next day I can use some hot mustard. Next day I can use some buffalo sauce. Basically what I'm saying is the possibilities are endless. And you'll even find yourself getting a little creative sometimes with how you flavor things. And you realize that you don't have to eat the same boring thing over and over and over again. Just give it its own identity. And it doesn't mean that you have to go out of your way to make the super intricate dish. I think that's another thing that people can fail on, is they want to make these super awesome Food Network level recipes, which is okay once in a while. And then you look at the pile of dishes in your sink. And then you look, oh man, do I have to eat all this? And you're like, oh man, I have to run to the store and get this specific ingredient, that sort of thing. And it's just mind blowing. And I'm just like, ugh. And it costs way more time and money and effort than it means. Now again, you can do that every once in a while, but if you're trying to develop a consistent, healthy habit and eat good day in and day out, you're not going to have time for a lot of super intricate recipes. Especially if there's other people in your house that, they're hungry and we want food, and your kids and your family are, bugging out. You don't want to keep things complicated. You want to keep them as simple as possible. But those are just some ideas I have. And one more thing I want to say too is that all the things I showed you, the hot sauces, the mustard, the garlic salt, seasoned salt, vinegar, all that stuff that I showed you combined, that would probably run you $20. And I'm really pushing things on the high side. It's probably more like 12 to 15. And that'll fill up your cupboard or your spice rack or whatever. And it provides everything that you need. And then every once in a while, when you do feel like you want to make a special recipe, okay, go ahead and do your thing. But you know that times where you don't have the biggest creative mind and you just want to make something to eat for yourself or your family, and you want to keep it healthy and nutritious, you know that you have those options, boom, 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 they go to. They last a long time. They have a long shelf life. And now you can make your food taste good. You don't have to make yourself suffer just to say, I'm sticking to the plan, because you will fail. I would rather that you put a little bit of seasoning and flavor on your food and maybe the results are 5% slower or something like that. I'd rather you go that than to eat things completely bland, totally obsessed, that there's not a gram of anything extra, anything ever. And, you know, yeah, you might get your results quicker, but you'll probably drive yourself insane. And I don't want you to just say, I can't take it anymore, and then run into Krispy Kreme and just, you know, slam down a dozen donuts because you want to remember what flavor is like. You can do this, you can add flavor in your food, and you don't have to sit here and eat bland like broccoli with nothing on it. It is possible. So hopefully that gives you guys some hope and encouragement. If you thought that, I can never eat anything good again, just remember, it's okay. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple. Remember, food has flavor. All right? Hope you guys learned something today. Take care, and God bless.